All right, so good day to everybody. Welcome back to the Formula Sports channel. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. Gentle reminder to hit the likes button, subscribe, and share. Free and easy ways to support the Formula Sports channel. In this video, we're talking about the big upcoming Copa America game, Jamaica versus Ecuador. Right, as Jamaica go in search of its first ever point, hopefully 3 points in the Copa America. This our third edition, and we are yet to even so much as register a point. So you know, is a big upcoming game later on this evening at 5 p.m. and I mean it's a big upcoming game for the obvious reason that if we don't get a result from this game, we are going home. You get what I mean? I say it's just as simple as that. Seeing this Ecuador team, tough team, not an easy team by any stretch of the imagination. Some would say that this is a kind of like a golden generation for them. It's a pretty decent Ecuador team. And as a matter of fact, I would probably say that it's one of the toughest oppositions that Heimal Grimson has come up against since his tenure began as Reggae Boyz head coach. Definitely, when you look at it within the context of competitive action, in a tournament setting, definitely one of the toughest teams Heimal Grimson has come up against, right? Ecuador is ranked 30th in the FIFA World Rankings. Jamaica ranked 53rd in the FIFA World Rankings. In Ecuador's last 10 games, their record is 5 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses. Interestingly, Jamaica also has an identical record of 5 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses in their last 10 fixtures. I wouldn't read too much into that, though, simply because when I look at Ecuador's fixtures were tougher fixtures, you know, like really tougher fixtures, right? Across probably all 10 of their last fixtures, right? Ecuador, in their last 10 games, have scored 11 goals. They conceded 8 goals in their last 10 games. 4 out of their last 10 games, they did not concede a goal in. So basically, those 8 goals were conceded in 6 of the 10 games, right? As for the record, or the matchup between both teams, the record, well, overall, there has been 4 meetings between Jamaica and Ecuador. 4 overall meetings. We have drawn against them twice, and the other 2 we lost. So, you know, the record obviously favors Ecuador. Not many meetings between the 2 teams, and you know, Ecuador has not been vastly superior to us in our head-to-head, but the record does favor Ecuador, right? I want to touch a bit on Ecuador's vulnerabilities, right? Talk a little bit about their weaknesses and their vulnerabilities going into this particular game, right? One of the things I noticed when watching Ecuador is that they play with a very high backline. They play with a very high backline. So when I talk about the spacing behind, you get what I say? There is spacing behind that can be exploited. And, you know, we have seen teams playing against them try and exploit that space, especially with a ball over the top. A ball over the top can cause this Ecuador team a fair bit of problems. And I'm going to talk about Ecuador's aerial vulnerabilities, because in watching this Ecuador team, they can be very uncomfortable and disorganized at the back when dealing with aerial pressure. Seeing anything aerial balls into the box, anything aerially will come into the box for Ecuador. Anything aerially that goes into their box, ladies and gentlemen, is a problem and will cause them issues. That's just the truth. People, may I tell you, when we watch this Ecuador team play, they are a bit uncomfortable with the ball. The defense on a whole, whether it's in the box, out of the box, dealing with the ball aerially, that is a problem for them. From a Reggae Boyz standpoint, how we can exploit that, my humble suggestion is to get the ball in wide areas and set a bomb and swing in across, right? Swinging crosses for the likes of Shamar, Bose, and Nicholson and Mikel Antonio. And that weakness actually favors us because when you think about it, Mikel Antonio and Shamar Boza-Nicholson, it is, you know, you could argue that their strength is their aerial ability. Of course, Mikel scored that goal that was chalked off, and it was a header versus Mexico, right? We can be dangerous on set pieces as well. You know, free kick swung into the box, that sort of a thing. And, you know, I spoke about the ball over the top a little bit earlier and how that can be a problem because of the space behind the Ecuador backline. And just simply because whenever the ball goes into the ear, the Ecuador backline just turn full. You get what I say? It's just as simple as that. To provide further context as it pertains to Ecuador's vulnerability, when the ball goes is in the ear, their backline, ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not, 4 of Ecuador's last 8 goals. The 8 goals, I just tell you earlier in the video, so them conceding at the last 10 games. 4 of those goals, ladies and gentlemen, originated from the ball entering the Ecuador area. Aerially. Like, seriously, them have a problem when the ball going at them box aerially. 4 of their last 8 goals. Even the penalty that they conceded against, remember, sir, right, it was a friendly versus Honduras. The reason why the penalty was given away was because, if remember, sir, right, it was a cross and it took a deflection and went way up in the air, and they just couldn't deal with it. And I don't even know what, I mean, it was just total confusion, and they ended up fouling the player. When the ball goes into the Ecuador box aerially, there is a problem, right? And even when you look at their last 10 games, even though some of the games they might not have conceded with the ball going into the area, with the ball going into the box aerially, there were quite a few vulnerable moments where Ecuador looked really vulnerable whenever the backline had to deal with aerial pressure. Another vulnerability, or I wouldn't say vulnerability, more weakness with this Ecuador team in this Copa America tournament, specifically for this game that they'll be playing against us, is that they will be missing 2 very key players, ladies and gentlemen. Estupinan, the Brighton and Hove Albion player, did not make the Copa squad. If I'm not mistaken, he is injured. He's a very important player for them, right? And the other one being Ena Valencia, the big center forward who many of you would know. He obviously is in the Copa squad, but many of you would know by now that he got a red card versus Venezuela. I need to check how many games he'll miss. He'll definitely be missing our game. But if I'm a betting man, he'd be out for a little while, because that was a really, really dangerous play from the Ecuadorian forward, even though I don't think it was deliberate by any means, right? But Ena Valencia in particular is a big miss for Ecuador. A big miss, ladies and gentlemen. The fact of the matter is, Ecuador is less of a threat in attack without Ena Valencia. That's just a fact. When you watch them play without Ena Valencia, it is a big miss. They lack a focal point in attack when Ena Valencia is not around for them. That's just fact. And as a matter of fact, you talk about the focal point, it affects the team's creativity when they don't have that focal point, when they don't have that forward making those proper runs. And Ena Valencia is good at that. You know, the team is just, the Ecuador team is just not as creative without Ena Valencia as they are with him. And as a matter of fact, when you really and truly think about it, in watching Ecuador, generally speaking, is not a very creative team. You get what I say? So even with Ena Valencia, is not the most creative team, let alone without him. You get what I say? So Ena Valencia is a huge miss for Ecuador. Big miss for Ecuador. He's their leading goal scorer of all time, and he's their leading goal scorer in the World Cup as well. So he's a big tournament player. You get what I say? He's a huge, huge miss for Ecuador. And he's their captain, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So it's a big, big miss. And those players, especially Ena Valencia, weakens Ecuador, in my humble opinion, to a significant extent. A significant extent, right? When you look at the Ecuador profile in terms of how they play, it's a very young Ecuador team. It's a very, very athletic Ecuador team. It's a very aggressive team, not even in terms of physicality, but just the intensity that they play with. They are very aggressive. It's a very aggressive team, right? One of the things that I think we should be very concerned about Ecuador in watching them play is that they're a very dynamic team in how they progress the ball. Very dynamic team in their build-up and their ball progression throughout the respective thirds. And I think we have to be wary of that. That can be a problem for us in terms of defending against that. You know, it's a team that they can throw a lot at you when they're coming at you. I think many people would know this as well, that they're a possession-based team as well. I mean, you don't even have to really watch them play. Just look at when you look at some of the players that they have in their squad. So the type of players that they have lend itself to them being a possession-based team, right? It's a possession-based team that they play that type of a football. They want to keep a hold of the ball. And the fact of the matter is they're very good with progressing the ball throughout the respective thirds. It's a proper ball-playing team, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good ball-playing team, and they work the ball very well in tight areas. And that can be a problem for the Jamaica Reggae Boyz. So we have to be very mindful of this team's ability on the ball, right? And, you know, obviously, if they're very good in working the ball in tight areas, then they're obviously very good at building out of pressure. So it's a proper ball-playing Ecuador team. Again, not the most creative of teams. More tactical and more technical in terms of how they play. You know, a lot of tactical and technical quality. Not the most imaginative team, but it's a proper ball-playing team. And getting the ball into the final third is something that they do very, very, very well at, right? And it's something that we should be very, very concerned about. It's also a team that is very good at controlling the tempo of the game. It's a team that is very good at controlling the tempo of the game. We talk about speeding it up, slowing it down, that sort of a thing. And it's also a team that can be very patient in build-up play as well, right? So, you know, all in all, it's just a proper ball-playing team, and it's something that we have to be very concerned about and very mindful of. One of the things that I'm very concerned about this Ecuador team as well is that it's a team that they don't really give you a lot of time and space on the ball. They close down space very quickly. They're very aggressive where that is concerned. So, and I don't know, we already have our problems with our build-up and being comfortably in possession. So, you know, that's definitely going to be an issue for us as well, right? And as mentioned earlier, it's a team that high presses a lot. It's a team that high presses a lot. So, yeah, man, it is a difficult Ecuador team to go up against, ladies and gentlemen. In all honesty, man, it's a difficult Ecuador team. We have our work cut out for us later on this evening, right? We have our work cut out for us. Players to watch. Players to watch. Ecuador players to watch. Ladies and gentlemen, they have a player called Sarmiento. He's a decent little baller, you know. He's a Brighton and Hove Albion player. He was on loan at Ipswich Town last season. You know, Ipswich Town, of course, got promoted to the English Premier League. In my humble opinion, when I've watched Ecuador, Sarmiento is arguably their most creative player. He's arguably their most creative player. his energy levels, his running ability, his ability with the ball, getting past players, that sort of a thing, it creates a lot of dangerous scenarios for this Ecuador team. So, yeah, Sarmiento is a player we have to go look out for, right? Moises Caicedo is another player that we have to look out for as well. And I mean, I don't really need to tell him about Moises Caicedo and what he does and that controlling element that he brings to any team, you know, whether it be club, whether it be country. Moises Caicedo is a top-class player. So those are just some of the players that we have to look out for. All in all, Ecuador is going to be a stern opposition to go up against. We have to be ready. We have to be prepared. We can get a result for sure, but the boys are going to have to grind it out. Them have to go hard. Wishing the Reggae Boyz all the best later on this evening. Wishing the Reggae Boyz all the best versus Ecuador. Hopefully we can get a result and stay in it. Hit me in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Knock up the likes button, subscribe, and share. Free and easy ways to support the Formula Sports channel. Take care, guys. Stay safe, and until next time.